Tell me, do you have any idea about database? What is database and what for it is used? Anybody? Yeah? Fine. Set of data. You see, database is nothing but the name itself says that. Yes. Yes, that's good. So when you have so much of data and to understand that properly or to segregate it properly or to have the data in an organized way, maybe in terms of a tabular form, okay, we wanted a database. So the database, whenever we create we have it and we put the data into that, it will organize for us and maintain it in a proper way so that we understand it without any difficulty. So that's what database in general to understand. And here in database we have two different things to understand. Okay, those two are relational database and non-relational database. Relational database is known as RDS here. Non-relational database is just known as DynamoDB. So we will be discussing about these two things practically and see how do we create databases in relational and non-relational both the way. And apart from those two, we also discuss Elastic Cache, Redshift. Those two are theoretically we speak about. But let's see, we'll start with, we'll try to understand. So we just get to know, just try to understand the database is nothing but it is something which maintains entire data in an organized way or in a structured way. And to talk about these different databases, relational database and non-relational database. So relational database is used for online transaction processing. So OLTP we say. Then it is also used in day in and day out. It's totally 24/7 we can use all the way. Then RDS supports for, it's nothing but relational database is nothing but, we will see that again while we create the database. It is the list of 5 different databases: MySQL, SQL, Postgres, Oracle we say, and Aurora. These are the 5 different databases, different types of databases, relational databases we have. And when it comes to DynamoDB, we have, it is actually non-relational database, and DynamoDB is part of NoSQL, which supports MongoDB, CloudAnt, something like that. Then apart from that, we have data warehousing. Okay, data warehousing databases. This is for online analytical programming. Okay, are you getting my point? One is online transaction processing, that is a relational database we use, and next one is non-relational database, DynamoDB, which is NoSQL, and next data warehousing, which is for online analytical programming, and for that analytical programming we use Redshift. Here you can see data warehousing and this. So these three are different to each other and used in different purposes. Okay, now let's try to understand. elastic cache. Just one after the other, a little brief description. After that, we will go and see RDS today, what it is. Now, elastic cache is nothing but it is another type of database, AWS offers. And what is that? In-memory cache. So elastic cache is nothing but it is a database which makes easy to deploy, okay, operate and scale on in-memory cache in the cloud. So it will maintain the cache of entire database, and it is easy for deploy, operate and scale on. Okay, and how it improves the performance of web applications by retrieving info or information and fast from managed in-memory caches. It's nothing but since it is having cache with it, it will provide the data whenever you want and very fast that you request. You request something, it will be provided to you very faster within no time with respect to the cache stored. Okay, and supports two open source in-memory cache engines like memcached. Okay, memcached is the memory caching engines, the different type of memory cache engines. In that, this elastic cache supports two different type of memory cache engines. One is memory cache D, that's nothing but mem cache cached ed cached memcached, and the other one redis. So these are the two different okay, caching engines it supports. Now let's try to understand the fundamentals of database. Fundamentals are nothing but how RDS is different from database. I mean like DynamoDB. When we compare these two things, okay, RDS will have totally all the way okay, the data in a tabular form. Both of them have things in tabular form. But when you wanted to understand, the relational database is mostly used, okay, and it is mostly used by people, and it is in use by people since 1970s. That is the reason why people are very much dependent on this, because it gives you a structured and organized data for you whenever you want it. And database once created in it, whenever we create a database in RDS, relational database, that will have tables, and the tables will contain rows, or we also say records. Then rows will have fields or columns. Okay, so one below the other. Tables will have rows will have fields. But when it goes to NoSQL, DynamoDB, okay, the database will have collections, which means tables in database. Okay, let me just take a notepad and write all these things. So when it is RDS to DynamoDB, RDS will have tables created, but whereas DynamoDB will have collections. Okay, the data structure, how when database created, how the data is organized in RDS and as well as in DynamoDB. The tables will have rows But whereas DynamoDB collections will have documents, and rows will have fields, and the documents will have key value pairs. Okay, so these are the different things when database created in RDS and in the DynamoDB. So RDS will have tables, rows, tables will have rows, rows will have fields, but whereas DynamoDB will have collections, collections will have documents, and documents will have key value pairs. Okay, and I said the memory cache engines. The memory cache engines are nothing but okay, memcache. This is the one memory caching engine, and the other one is these are the two different memory caching engines which Elastic Cache supports with or works with. And next, when you go to understand RDS, okay, this is these two different, but RDS will always have data in a tabular form, as I said. So the tabular form is nothing but like a table. Okay, let me just. So it's like a table you have. Just trying to draw something. Understand? And the tables will have rows. The rows will have fields. The fields are nothing but any number of fields you wanted you can have. That can be an ID. Okay. ID and first name. Okay. First name, second name. Then you wanted you can just also have gender or age. Okay. Something like that. So RDS will always have things like this in tabular form, but whereas okay, NoSQL database will have all the way in terms of a tree like a code. How? Let's see here. That code can have like this. For example, it starts with a bracket and open. For example, you wanted ID to have, so it will have ID. Okay, then column. So everything like this. Then it will have once ID. Then ID you have to provide here. What is that ID you wanted to provide? Object ID. The object whatever you take. Okay, and what is that? Some object ID whichever you wanted to provide, like something, comma, Next, first name. Okay. The name can be something, comma. So all this. So a collection has document, and the document is this, and then the document will have key pairs. So all these are ID, object, first name, and all are all key pairs. So you wanted, you can just go with surname, age, and all. Then when you wanted to provide something like address, okay, um, then you go with address bracket. In this address will have so many details in that again. So you have to mention another kind of code that's like, so, street. Okay, so what is that street? Street will have so and so details. Then after that, street, city. Okay, the code will be like this. I mean, the DynamoDB table will be like this. Then the city will be something. Okay, then postal zip code, something like that. Then it should be ended with finished. Then should be ended like this. So this will be the code, or this will be the database when created in DynamoDB. So understand, when RDS we create a database, it will be in terms of tables. The tables will have rows and rows will have fields. But when a DynamoDB database is created, okay, a NoSQL database is created, it will have collections, and the collections will have documents, and the documents will have key page values, key value page. So this is the thing we have to understand about the databases fundamentals, and understand DynamoDB do not allow you to have embedded data structures, whereas MongoDB allows. Okay, these are different things, but embedded data structures. And data warehousing used to business intelligence like this Redshift. Data warehousing is nothing but understand Redshift. Okay, so I'm just going to this. So Redshift, and that's nothing but it is used for business intelligence and tools like Cognos, Jaspersoft, SQL Server, and all. Reporting servers could be Oracle, Hyperion, then SAP NetWeavers. So these are the different tools the data warehousing supports are used. And Redshift is only for business intelligence. But we will be discussing about Redshift something theoretically, because it is another topic. People who has an idea, strong idea about database can only deal with that. Okay. Now let's see creating or launching an RDS instance. So remember, whenever we create a database, it is creating like an instance here on this. So we create an instance for RDS. We also create an instance for DynamoDB. And how, we will see now. But remember guys, we people have different backgrounds, like somebody can be finance, somebody can be backup, like me. If you consider, I'm a backup engineer earlier and now moved on to cloud. So I do not have so much of idea, frankly speaking. um, don't have so much of idea about database. I don't have in-depth knowledge about database, but still we must need to know what is database and how do we create the database. So in terms of AWS point of view, you should understand how do we create database and provide. So what actually happens in real time is an SQL guy or a database guy comes to you and say that he wanted a database created. Okay, so what do? Either you create a database here in this and provide the endpoint. So whenever you create a database, the database instance will have an endpoint provided. So that endpoint you should give it to the person who asked for the database. So they will manage according to the way, respectively, whatever the way they want. Or what do? We either have to create a normal EC2 instance wherein SQL Server is installed on it. Okay, so that those people, and also we have to provide the permissions to those people to authenticate themselves and access that EC2 server in which SQL Server is installed, PHP. Okay, so that the database guy can directly log into that and create his own database based on his requirements. So that's what happens. So understand what we are going to do. Are you all getting my points? You all there? I didn't check who and all are
Yes,
in
sir.
the class. Yeah. Good, good. Who are
Actually,
missing?
Shilpa left the class, sir.
Okay, Shilpa left the class. Anu is not there. Prashant is missing. Also Usman is missing. Chandra Srikanth find out with, yeah, Shilpa has joined, good. So Chandra, either you or Srikanth find out with Prashant and Usman why these guys are missing the classes regularly. I'll also try to trace with them. So now, so we have to create an RDS instance. Let's check how do we create an RDS instance. So go to RDS, that is managed database, and in this we have to launch an instance. So here you see, here also we have instances. So when you try to create an instance for the first time, we have to go and get started now. But prior to this, what do? We'll go create a security group. I'll create another security group. You'll understand why I'm creating it. Um, Database SG, and the description I'm not. Okay, let me provide the same description for this as well. What I would like to do is I don't want it to provide any outbound, no outbound. Okay, you'll understand why I'm doing it. Okay, create your database SG, and let's launch a normal instance to understand this. But with a little bash script we have to do. So what is that? Go create an instance. As I said, we are going to check bash script and IAM role take full access to S3. So giving bash I'm going to install a PHP server into this because we wanted web server Apache and as well as PHP server into it. That's what we are going to see. So what is that PHP? PHP MySQL. PHP hyphen MySQL. All these three I'm going to install hyphen y. So this is what I'm not only going to install Apache web server into it. That's HTTPD. But I'm also going to install a SQL server onto it, that is PHP and PHP MySQL. Then
so PHP means SQL, sir.
yeah, SQL server. PHP is nothing but SQL server.
So we are installing PHP and we are installing SQL and MySQL, both of them.
No, only MySQL I've installed. MySQL is for RDS. No SQL is for DynamoDB.
Yeah, we are installing two, SQL and MySQL too.
Yeah, it's like SQL and MySQL, two different RDS in databases, relational databases only. Both of these are relational only. PHP,
Okay.
SQL server I'm installing, and what type of SQL server? MySQL.
Okay.
Okay. Then service HTTP. On. So this is what a little script I've taken. Then now create it. DB instance will take existing one. What do we do? We take this. The other security group I've created will be used in RDS database. So till then it's getting ready. We'll go and launch our database instance. So here you see database instance. We have different type of database engines or instances. Aurora, MySQL, MariaDB, PostgreSQL, Oracle, and SQL Server. So what do? We usually go with MySQL every time. Go select MySQL. Okay. In this, you see production. These two are charged for you. Amazon Aurora. You wanted to create an Aurora database. You can also do by going MySQL. In that, select Amazon Aurora. Recommended MySQL compatible enterprise class database at 1/10 of the cost of commercial database. So when you wanted cheapest way, you can just go with this. We will see this little later. And then MySQL multi-agent deployment and provisioned IOPS storage as default for high availability and fast consistent performance. Both these are charged. You wanted to test for free, then this is used. This instance is intended for use outside of production or under the RDS free usage tier. So select this dev or test for dev or test environments, not for production. Okay. Then next. So here, these are the configuration stuff we have to provide. So let all these things. Amazon RDS free tier provides a single GB T2 micro instance as well as up to 20 gigabytes of storage. So this is all about the free tier usage. Then you wanted to check something which is for free, you can select this so that only free tier eligible things only will be seen. Rest you can just take as it is. Then license type associated with database engine, that's fine. License model, keep things simple. The database engine is MySQL. Then what is this? We have installed PHP hyphen MySQL. You remember? So that's why we are going through MySQL database here. Then license model, let it be general public license. Okay, the only thing we have. And database DB engine version. So there are multiple DB engine versions you have, and by default it has taken 5.6.27. Let it be without any changes in it. Okay, and this is what we have to provide. DB instance class. So what do you do? DB instance class is nothing but the type of instance, like how you have selected different type of instances like T2 micro instance or M type instance or something like that. You have an option of selecting different type of instances, normal instance, and same way even here also when you create a database instance, DB RDS instance, you are allowed to take a different type of instances, and these are the instance classes we have. Among all, we are safe and free for us is DB T2 micro. So what is that? T2 micro. The moment you take that, you will not have any problem. Okay. DB instance class that allocate the computational network and memory capacity required by planned workload of the DB instance. You wanted to take something else, let's see what happens. Let's go and check with mlarge. The moment you say you take something here, it is changed. The following selection disqualify the instance from being eligible for free tier. Okay, so this is the dialog box has changed. And DB instance classes, you will be charged for normal RDS prices. So better go with T2 micro. So it has changed here, and then The same thing has changed here. Then multi-AZ deployment. Do not ever go for multi-AZ deployment because once it is selected, it will be charged for you. AWS treat that instances as primary and replicate the data into another location, considering that as secondary. So there are two instances created again. So multi-AZ deployment is used for that. Automatical, like you might have heard about clustering, database clustering. So clustering is nothing but one database is not reachable, then automatically another database will be used as active database, and the data will be replicated onto that. So don't select that. You said no for now. Multi-AZ deployment is no. Then storage type, the same thing, general purpose SSD or provisioned IOPS or magnetic. We are okay with general purpose SSD, and allocated storage 5 gigabytes is enough. The provisioning less than 100 gigabytes of general purpose SSD storage for high throughput workload could result in higher latencies upon exhaustion of initial general purpose SSDR. So that's something which is mentioned, but not to worry. Let it be a default storage. You wanted, you can increase your storage here. Okay, but what is that? Minimum of 5 gigabytes and maximum of 6144 gigabytes higher allocated storage. So that is what the capacity you can just go with. I'm going with minimum only, not the maximum. In settings, instance identifier. So these are all we have to set here. Then instance identifier could be, what do? We just provide instance identifier as specify a name that is unique for all the database instance owned by your AWS account in current region. Database instance identifier is a case sensitive but stored in all lowercase as MyDB instance, something like that. So what do? Earlier I have provided something like as wisdom tech. I'll just see. Okay, I'll just take this my default name only. Then master username, I'll provide my name only. Then password, it's up to you, whatever the password you wanted to take. Confirm your password. The password may not contain special characters. Fine. That's fine. So you gave it that DB instance identifier, something like you are providing a name or the owner of that, and master name, the name of the person, and master password, confirm the password. That's all. What we have done in this tab, we have just set the DB instance class and whether we wanted multi-AZ deployment or not, and then storage type. Then we have not changed anything about that. Then mentioned the settings like DB instance identifier and all these things. Remember these things which are needed for us. So next step. No, I don't want it to remember anything. Then VPC, let it be under default VPC, but subnet security group. Which security group? Let it be default again. Public accessibility. You wanted to provide public accessibility? No, I don't wanted this database instance to access by public. Okay, the instance can be accessed by people when it is attached to the EC2 instance I have created here. Okay, what I'm trying to do, I wanted to create a database and that needs to be accessed through this instance, but not directly access my database instance. You getting my point? While I create a database, I'm creating it through a database instance. So I don't wanted anybody to access my database instance, but the database can be accessed by people through this instance, through a server. Every time a database is created, that needs a server to access. So this is what the server I'm trying to access through that. Through that a database. And now you wanted this security group. Yes, the security group is taken this. Now this is the security group I'm taking. So only I have not provided any outbound rule. So whom it can connect, it should be able to connect only that. Okay. Then database name. The database name can be again whatever we have given. Wisdom check. Something like that I've given. Then database port number, like everything has a port. Even this database will also have certain port number which works on it. It works on this port number. Then DB parameter group, it will be as simple as that. Don't change anything. Then copy tags to snapshots. You wanted snapshot. No, you don't check this because the snapshot will be charged. Encryption you wanted, you can go with that, but encryption will also be charged, so I'm not going with encryption. What I've done, I've just I've provided the name, wisdom take, something like that. Then I've taken the public accessibility, I just took it as no. Then availability zone, no preference, it can be in any availability zone. Within the region, it can be in any availability zone. You can just go launch. The database can be. Then what else? The security group I have just taken. Then backup. In this backup retention period, see, every time you take the backup, okay, it will be asking for you to retain the data in it. It's nothing but the database. You see, the automated backups are currently supported for DB storage engine only. Like now, it's nothing but, see, for example, if something happens, something your database is corrupted, how do you deal with that? So database is automatically backed up. So how is it backed up? It will be backed up on an incremental way. Only the different changes on a daily basis, those things will be backed up, and how long your backup will be existing. So that is what this. Select the number of days between. Here you will be able to see the number of days between 1 to 35 that Amazon RDS should be retained automatic backups of this DB instance. The backup retention period determines the period for which you can perform a point-in-time recovery. Select 0 to disable backups. Okay. So the maximum limit is what? 35 days, and the minimum is 1 day the backup retention period. If you wanted to disable that backup, then you can just select 0 over there. And backup window, no preference, but usually you have to select a backup window. Why? Whenever you are trying to back up your database, the database throughput will become slow. So people who are trying to access this database may find some difficulty or latency. So what do? We just select the backup window, and usually that is performed on non-business hours. So non-business hours in the sense during midnight or somewhere 3 a.m. or 2 a.m. So like that you just conduct this. Now understand that, but since we are not going to access this database, I'm not going with that separate window. I'm going with no preference. Then monitoring, you wanted a detailed monitoring, you can go with that, but that's charged, so do not go with that. Then maintenance, okay, how auto minor versions upgrade. So database versions may change time to time. In that you wanted, you can just go with yes. So you are providing permission to this database that it can by default upgrade itself with a minor versions. The major versions we ourselves have to do by taking the downtime for that, but minor versions it can do by itself. That's what you're providing the permission by selecting yes here. Okay, specify yes to enable automatic upgrade to new minor versions as they are released. The automatic upgrade occur during the maintenance window for the DB instance. And maintenance window for this again, when does this upgrade should happen? It's the upgradation should always happen in the non-business hours only. So you must have to select the window here. And when should it happen? Especially during either Saturdays or Sundays. Let it be on Sunday. What time? Start time at okay 1 a.m. or something like 1:30 a.m. We'll go with 1:30. Then duration. How long? Let's go with 1 hour. So the downtime can be, this window can be within 1 hour. I mean this 1 hour period from starting from 1:30 a.m. to 2:30 a.m. the activity can take part, or upgradation can take part, and which day? On Sunday only. So this is how you should do. You should select. But since we are not going to keep this instance for longer time, I'm not going to, select any window. So these are all we have to do. We have to change. Then launch DB instance. The moment you say yes, it will be launched. The DB instance is launched. View your DB instance. So a database is created. That is what is this, and it is still creating. So no endpoint is created or provided, not available yet. Once VPC access only. See, public access, no, the details is mentioned. Master name is Mohan and all. Security group, waiting for DB instance port to become available in order to determine applicable rules. All that information is provided here. It is creating, once it's created, there will be an endpoint provided here. A long list is provided. Okay, so it will take some time. The same way you can have clusters here. Clusters is nothing but multiple DB instances. So one fails, the other one will work as active. Then like different type of instances, reserved instances, spot instances. Here also we have instances, different types like reserved, purchase. You can have a dedicated instance for your own, a dedicated DB instance. Then you can also have snapshots like your instance backup. Then security groups, okay, placement groups we have seen, option groups, subnets, different things. So all these things you can have. So let's see security groups. We have not created any security group, but the instance. So this is how you create a database instance. What I would do is let it get ready. Okay. If you are okay, I would like to conclude our class for today. We'll continue it from from here tomorrow. I'll just keep things as it is without deleting this instance and the other instance. We have a normal instance we have created. So what we have to do is, what we are left with is, once this database is created, okay, the instance is created, we will run a script again, and after running that script, we will go launch this instance and try to connect. Okay, after launching this instance, we will try to connect this database. Okay, whatever the database we have created here will be accessed from this instance once launching it. So how do we do that? We will see. That is what we are left with. Once we are able to connect our database created from this normal instance, then we are fine. We are successfully created a database. That's what we can just conclude. So it really takes a little time. That's why I would like to conclude our class for today. But before that, I just wanted to confirm whether you all are okay with that and all are clear with the things we have discussed for today. Yes, guys. Whatever the things we have discussed, are you clear with all the topics? Anything you want me to repeat again? Okay, then fine. I'll upload this video as database RDS fundamentals, database fundamentals or something like that. Okay, so you can just go through that. Fine, then I'll conclude the class for today. Tomorrow we'll meet at 7:30. I'm sorry, today we have started our class little late, but tomorrow we'll start at 7:30 only.